Namaste, welcome to our yin practice, rest and reset. Today, we're going to be working with the element of fire and really drawing upon the summer solstice energy, which is we are kind of upon the cusp of that gateway. So thinking about in traditional Chinese medicine, and working with the meridians and in terms of TCM, the meridians that are most associated with the element of fire is the triple warmer, the pericardium, and so these run up and down the arms. We also have the small intestine and the heart, and they also run up and down the arms. So we'll really be working with our upper body today. Let's take our mudra, curl in the ring finger, and take the thumb to the knuckle of the ring finger for Surya Mudra, for the sun seal. Come into your easy seat, Sukhasana, grounding down through the lower body, lengthening through the upper body here. And let's take a few breaths here as we come into this practice of yin, practice of stillness, welcoming stillness of breath, stillness of body, stillness of mind. Settle with your breath here. Begin to summon the joy, the warmth, the heat, the element of fire. As we reach this point of the summer solstice, the sun standing still, seated here in stillness, breathing in stillness, inviting stillness to the mind. And this paradox, when we consider the element of fire, which we often think about as being energetic, as being dynamic, as being heating. And then this practice of yin, which we associate with coolness, with darkness, with being. Within yin, there is yang. Yin contains the lightness of yang. Even as we sit here in stillness, we are aware that the earth is moving, that the blood, the lymph, the breath is flowing through our body. The heart is beating. There is the presence of yang within yin. Yin becomes yang through slow and subtle transformations, as well as these dynamic, powerful transmutations. When we awake, when we transition, in that moment of the in-breath, yin becomes yang. Our mantra for today, and I'm inviting us to work with the Gayatri Mantra in relation to the summer solstice, evoking earth, heaven, and all of the realms in between, all of the ethereal realms in between. Let us bring our mind to dwell in the radiance of the divine truth, the source of that truth. And may that truth, that wisdom illuminate and inspire our actions, our reflections. We'll do call and response once and then twice together as we learn this mantra. And if you want to know the words, you'll find them in the commentary below the video after our session. Inhale to prepare. Om bhūr bhuvaḥ svaḥ. Om bhūr bhuvaḥ svaḥ. Tat savitur vareṇyaṃ. Tat savitur vareṇyaṃ. Bhargo devasya dhīmahi. Bhargo devasya dhīmahi. Dhiyo yona pracodayāt. Dhiyo yona pracodayāt. Twice together. Om bhūr bhuvaḥ svaḥ. Tat savitur vareṇyaṃ. Bhargo devasya dhīmahi. Dhiyo yona pracodayāt. Om bhūr bhuvaḥ svaḥ. Tat savitur vareṇyaṃ. Bhargo devasya dhīmahi. Dhiyo yona pracodayāt. Final time. Om bhūr bhuvaḥ svaḥ. Tat savitur vareṇyaṃ. Bhargo devasya dhīmahi. Dhiyo yona pracodayāt. Om, Om, Om. Namaste. Sat Sri Akal. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to our practice. So let's start with some gentle tapping. Make sure that you're seated here comfortably. I'm seated on a blanket so that you have ease and comfort here. So let's start with the triple heater. My fingers are cold, so I'm going to just rub my hands. I invite you to rub your hands a little bit to create a little bit of warmth between the palms here. Get everything nice and warm so that we're not feeling the chill so much. So we're going to start with the yang triple warmer. So let's start at the little finger. And we're going to work along the outside of the arm, all the way up to the shoulder, to the back of the ear, side of the eye, and then ending there, just at the side of the eye. So we'll start by tapping, and you'll probably want to start with 2 fingers on your little finger. And as you tap, let's trace the triple heater. This is also known as the triple burner or the triple warmer. So as you tap along here, the outside of the arm, this is the yang side, the outside of the body. And you might want to then move on to 4 fingertips as you travel up the length of the arm. And as you tap here, invite in the warmth, the element of fire into your practice. Let's go up the side of the neck, back of the ear. And then you probably want to take 2 fingertips, your peace fingers, your index and middle, to the outside edge of the eye. And let's go down let's go to the other side. So we'll do triple warmer first. So let's start on the other hand, the little finger. We don't have to do both arms. And when we're stimulating our meridian pathways, these channels of energy. In Indian philosophy, they're known as nadis. And in TCM, they're known as meridian pathways. And so these cultures come together in kind of, if we can see many similarities across traditional Chinese medicine and Indian philosophy. So let's go up to the top of the arm, go to the back of the ear, and then to the outside corner of the eye. So we've traced up the arm for yang. Now we're going to trace down the arm for the yin partner of the triple warmer, the pericardium. So let's start just here on the outside of the pec. So parallel with the nipple area. And let's go underneath the arm. So you want to use 4 fingers, or you can fold in your fingers and use your knuckle here to have some effect. We're going to travel down the inside of the arm here. And you might want to focus around the inner elbow, down towards the wrist. And we're going to travel all the way across the palm to the middle finger. And now let's start on the other side. So again, just at the area outside of the pec, underneath the armpit, parallel to the nipple, work up through the armpit and then down the inside of the other arm. Focusing on the elbow, perhaps on the inside of the wrist, across the palm to the middle finger. So this is the yin and yang pair of the pericardium and the triple warmer. And now we're going to switch to the other pairing. And the other pairing is the small intestine and the heart. And the small intestine is the yang pair, the yang meridian of this pair. So this one, again, we're going to start on the outside of the little finger. So let's go all the way up towards the ear. And then when we get to the shoulder, let's sort of zigzag around the shoulder for a bit. And this time along the side of the throat. And we're going to come to underneath the eye and work across the cheekbone towards the ear. Let's go to the other side. So little finger here, outside along the outer edge. Again, you might want to focus around the elbow, the wrist. And when we get to the shoulder, we're going to zigzag. We're not doing a precise science here because this is not a practice of acupuncture. But we want to be generally in the part of the body where we can stimulate these channels of energy, traveling up the inside of the throat, under the eye, perhaps on the cheekbone here, and then travel across the cheekbone to the ear. Now let's focus on the heart aspect. And so this one will be from the inside of the little eye, underneath the lips, down the center of the clavicle, and then to the sternum. And then we can move across underneath the armpit and to the inside of the little finger. So let's start by one side, tapping under the eye, under the chin, at the point where the clavicles meet to the sternum, across the chest, underneath the armpit, and all the way down along the inside of the arm. So the outer arm we see as yang, so the outer part of our body, the parts of our body that are turned out, or yang, dynamic, action-based. The insides of our body or yin, the more protective, inward looking, inward focusing, all the way to the inside of the little finger. And then let's go the other way, underneath the eye, underneath the lips here, just at the chin, the meeting point of the collarbones, across the shoulder, underneath the armpit. And so when you're practicing this at home, obviously you will practice this in silence without my voice, so that you can be really tuned in to the physical experience here as we lay down new pathways for our mind. We're stimulating our points of energy and therefore stimulating the different parts of our mind, which will interrupt pattern repeats that we have of thoughts. When you go to the little finger, let's take a moment and pause there. Open and close your fingers just for a moment, wriggling them, and let's prepare for our practice. So we'll come directly onto our knees first, moving into melting heart pose, Anahatasana. So let's set ourselves up around props here. The prop that I invite you to use, which is the most divine prop in practice of yin, is a blanket. So place a blanket on your mat so that when you place your knees, they are padded on the mat. We're going to melt our heart down towards the earth now here, keeping the knees and the hips in alignment. Bring your forearms to the earth so that your elbows are underneath your shoulders. And from here, we're going to experience in our body how this feels. It might be that as you walk both hands forward, you begin to experience tightness in your upper arms, in the armpits or the shoulders, in which case, let's fold in one arm and walk the other arm out so that we come into half melting pose, which is not much fun when you've got a dog sitting on your hand here. So this is your option. Your eyebrow center can be resting on the back of that folded arm if you're going for the half variation, or a cushion or a blanket. Another option for you to experiment with is to take your arms wider than your mat to create space. Let's tie my hair back. So your options are going to be both arms parallel, reaching forward with your heart melting towards the earth, your eyebrow center resting directly on the earth or on a cushion or a folded blanket. Another option is to have one arm extended, one arm folded, and I'll let you know when to swap arms. Or you can have your both arms wider than your mat to see if that offers you more options, more space. Another prop you can bring in is a cushion or a pillow, which you can place underneath your heart so that you can rest your heart on here or rest your eyebrow center on here. So play around with or without props. Props help us to create more space and then tune into the experience in your body. The principles that we're working with is this coming into the pose, coming into an appropriate depth, playing with the edge. So we don't want to come into 100% of the experience immediately, or if at all. We want to perhaps start at around 70%, maybe incrementally increase it to 80%. We're working on the tissues and ligaments. So we want to move very slowly into the pose, but then also transition slowly out of the pose. And so therefore, if we go to the extreme edge immediately, it will be difficult for us to sustain and hold, and then more challenging for us to transition out of it, because we're not warming up the body. Although we're working paradoxically with the element of fire, this element of fire that is circulating within us within the tendons, within the ligaments, within the joints, the bones, isn't something that we are conscious or aware of unless we have dis-ease or injury or pain in those areas, or stiffness or memory or tension. So when we are at ease, we are with the flow. When we are in dis-ease or unease, then we might feel the element of fire, might feel the yang. If you have one arm extended and one arm folded, I invite you to fold in the extended arm, moving slowly, and then extend the opposite arm. Your fingers are spread wide. We're really opening up the space underneath our armpits, across the shoulders. Connect with the fingers on the earth, particularly mindful of your middle finger, your ring finger and your little finger. Your middle finger, at which the pericardium or the heart protector ends. The ring finger, at which the triple heater, the triple warmer begins. The little finger, the outside and the inside for the heart and the small intestine meridian. Think of the heart as the gateway, the back of the heart here, as the gateway or the portal through which we pass as we move through the summer solstice, through the longest day, the shortest night in the northern hemisphere. This is the solstice, the still point of the sun, its cusp of midnight, the year's threshold, and unlocking, where the past lets go and becomes the future, the place of court breath, yin into yang. Yin contains yang, yin becomes yang. One more breath here. In Anahatasana, melting heart. Let's move very slowly from here. So walking your hands back towards your body so they are aligned with your head. And rising up here. Through table, take a moment here. And then let's sit back in child's pose. Take your knees wide and bring your arms alongside your body, palms face up. In Balasana, child's pose. Big toes connected, knees wide open. This is also known as tadpole. So let's take our arms and cross them underneath our hearts. So press your left hand into the earth. And then take your right arm and thread it underneath the body, palms face up. And now bring that right shoulder down towards the earth here. Your head will be lifted here, or you will be able to place it under earth. If your head is lifted, you can place a cushion here so that you can rest your ear, the side of your head on a cushion. So reach this right arm as far as it can reach underneath you, and then soften here. Left arm is extended. Another option for the left arm is to wrap it behind you by placing the back of your hand on the lower sacrum. So here we're really working on the shoulder here. So the small intestine and the triple warmer that pass with the upper shoulder, the top of the shoulder. As we connect with the gateway into the rest of the year. Passing through this moment, this heightened moment for the element of fire. In which the sun is at its most glorious, most radiant, most illuminating. One more breath here. If your arm is resting behind you with the back of your hand on your lower sacrum, let's bring that hand round. Use it as a scaffold to release the right arm from underneath you. And let's move the other way. So thread that left arm underneath you. Coming to rest on your shoulder, your ear, the side of your head directly on the earth or on a cushion. Right arm is extended. Again, you have the option of bringing the right arm, folding it back so your right hand rests on your lower sacrum, palm facing out. Come into awareness of this contemplative moment of stillness in yin. And then how this yin aspect, which is inwardly focused, inwardly looking, also contains the outward action, the outward energy. It is from this inner reflection, from this point of stillness, that we can then move forward, progress, take action, create change, transform. Without this moment of stillness, of reflection, of a drawing in, a gathering in, our light would be dimmed by overexhaustion, by depletion, by deficiency. Even on the longest day of the year, there's still the element of yin in the shortest night of the year. Three more breaths here. In Parivritta Balasana, or this tadpole variation. Release your hand from your lower sacrum back to the earth. Rising up, using that right arm as a scaffold, release the left hand. Take a moment here. I'm going to transition into Sphinx pose. So now thinking about what you need for your support here. Would you like to have your forearms resting on a blanket? And what I suggest here, which is very delicious, depending on how much space you have in your lower back. So again, let's experiment. We take time in this transition to find the appropriate place that we want to be in. Underneath your hips and pelvis, you could place a folded blanket. See how that feels for your lower back, because this will create a compression in the lower back. And if that compression feels too intense for you, with your arms parallel here and forearms on the earth, I invite you to come into Makrasana by folding in your hands, resting them on top of each other, and bringing your eyebrow center to rest on the back of your hands. So this creates more space in the lower back, but we're still activating the meridians of the upper body here. If you are comfortable and your edge is something that you have some space with, you can have your forearms parallel. Again, spread your fingers wide. Lift the crown, the sternum is lengthened, the clavicle, collarbones are extended from shoulder to shoulder. Sphinx or Salamba Bhujangasana. So your options here are crocodile Makrasana with your eyebrows central on the backs of your hands, elbows out wide, or your forearms parallel on the earth in Salamba Bhujangasana. If that begins to feel too compressive for your lower back, if you move your elbows slightly forward and out, that again will give the lower back more space. We're working here on the small intestine. And particularly thinking about the vitality, the quality of vitality which we associate with this organ. This organ is the sorter, the filter. It draws in and retains what we need and releases and let goes and eliminates that which we do not need. So therefore, the principle of clarity, of discernment, of being able to see clearly, which is intimately connected with the element of fire, sight, helps us in this moment of stillness, of reflection, to see what we wish to see, what we need to see, what we must see. The truth is illuminated. So having come into your appropriate edge, we've been in this pose holding it for a while. Check in with yourself. What is your experience here now? Do you wish to move closer to your edge or move away from your edge? So perhaps if you're in Makrasana, rise up a little bit. Keeping those elbows wide, hands on top of each other. Perhaps if you're in Sphinx with your forearms on the earth, you might extend your arms a little bit longer and further away from you to the corners of the top of the mat to rise up in seal. Or Urdhva Bhujangasana, upward facing cobra. These graduations, either deeper to have more intense experience or to reduce the intensity of the experience, these graduations is the result of your contemplation, of your tuning in, of you looking inward and noticing the experience you're having here. Slow down, surrender to the stillness of the movement, slowing down your thoughts, slowing down your judgments, and coming into stillness before making these quick fire decisions or judgments. The energy of fire can very easily become all-consuming or out of control. So stillness, this containment, helps us to be more vital without being exhausted or becoming exhausted. 3 more breaths here in the variation of Sphinx. Whichever place you're at, knowing that you are within the edges of your own boundaries. On the 3rd breath here, signaling to your body that you're about to move and transition, begin to lower down to the earth, whichever variation you're in. And let's take our arms alongside our body, palms face up, and turn onto the right ear. Take 3 deep breaths here. Let's breathe deeply into the back of the body here, the back of the heart. The heart is connected with the quality of joy. The joy that we experience in the season of summer. The joy we feel when we enjoy the warmth of the sun or see the magnificence of a sunrise or a sunset. The joy we feel in connection to the harmony of nature. And when we are connected with our vitality and our clarity, we can see the joy. We can appreciate and welcome and embrace the joy. Turn onto your left ear for 3 full breaths here. Softening your whole body here. From here, we are going to transition into angel wing pose, which is a shoulder and pec opener. So the blanket that you may have underneath that's folded underneath your hips and pelvis, let's unfold it so that you have more of an even covering on your mat. And we're going to start with the left side. So the left side of our body is the yin side of our body. Take out your left arm. Now you can take out your left arm horizontally. You can take your left arm so it's at an angle so that the right hand is at a diagonal away from the body. You can have a bend in that left elbow, or you can have the arm extended straight. What we're going to do here is roll onto our left hip. So this is where I really invite you to move with care and move slowly. So we'll start off by rolling onto our left ear, seeing how this feels. Your right arm is folded. Your right arm is going to act like a scaffold for you here. Now let's tuck our toes and begin to roll onto our left hip. Bend into your knees immediately. So you're on your left hip, left arm is reaching out behind you, parallel at horizontal or at a diagonal. That left arm can have a bend in it, or it can be reaching out straight. Find the angle that feels sustainable for your left arm. Come up high on your hand so that your elbow acts like a scaffold here. So let me turn around so you can see that if you have. visuals. Now let's stay here for a few breaths to see how this experience is for us. Now, if you feel that this pose has more options available for you in this moment, you can begin to straighten out your legs. If that does not feel great, you can bend your knees again. And another option is to bend into the top leg and place that foot on the earth. And this right arm, that's your scaffold. You can have your forearm on the earth, you can be high on your fingertips, or you can take this right arm behind you and clasp the left hand. Okay, so there's a real rainbow here of where we can go to explore. There is no judgment. So remember, we've worked with the energy of the small intestine, of that meridian pathway, to have vitality and clarity, to move without judgment, to ease the heat of the fire, that destructive, consuming heat of the fire, so that it is a heat or a warmth that brings us joy, passion, creativity. So we're still working with the energy that we kind of cultivated with the small intestine and the heart. And now we're really moving into the triple warmer, the pericardium. The pericardium is also known as the heart protector, standing guard over the heart. So now, if you begin to find yourself becoming, I can't do this, I can't do that, judging yourself, that negative self-talk, protect your heart, protect the heart full of joy. Be in the moment. I honor my body. I honor the joy of summer that is resonant with the rhythms of my body. My body is the gateway to the solstice. In honoring the sun in all of its glory, I am honoring my body in all of its glory. So whichever variation you're in here, take a moment to explore the sensation now. The intensity of the sensation. Where do you want to be now? Do you want to stay here, wherever you are, with your knees bent, left arm extended out, your right forearm on the earth? So is this enough for you? Or would you like to perhaps stretch out one leg long? And if you're going to stretch out one leg long, I invite you to stretch out the lower leg that's connected with the earth and keep a bend in the upper leg. So you almost create a letter H. Or perhaps if you have your right foot on the earth with the right knee bent and your right arm reaching back behind you for connection with the left or your lower back. This might be feeling a little too intense right now. So you may choose to bring the right arm to support you. You may choose to extend the right leg long so that it's not at an angle here. You might roll slightly off the left hip, which will reduce the intensity in that left shoulder and the left pec. We're only going to be here for another 3 breaths because this is demanding. The pericardium, the heart protector, is working to protect you from all of the shadows, the darkness. We can learn from the shadows, from the darkness. We can explore the depths of that darkness or the shadows in order to move out, move away, in order to resolve, in order to dismantle or deconstruct the pain or hurt or fear or anxiety of those shadows. Let's roll on to our abdomen. So transition very slowly here, bending into your knees and then rolling onto your abdomen. And that left arm move very, very slowly. And we're going to take it overhead and stretch the left arm overhead. You might want to stretch out the right arm as well, creating a vessel here. And notice the difference between the left side and the right side of your body here. The sensations in the left side of the body compared to the right. The yin and the yang of your body. And we're going to transition over to the right side now. So again, take your right arm out so it can be parallel or horizontal or at an angle. Come onto the right ear. And then begin to roll onto your right hip. And as you do, bend into your knees. This might be enough. This is where you might find the edge that you want to stay with today. You might keep that forearm on the earth. Give yourself a little more space. You might want to extend out your legs. Come up high on the left hand. You may choose to reach behind you with the legs extended. You might take the left leg, the upper leg, and bring the sole of that foot to the earth. Creating your variation of angel wings. And I like to think of these as wings of the heart. When we take flight, when we rise up. Now let's talk about the triple heater, the triple burner here. The quality here that we are cultivating and invoking is the warmth of kindness. The emotional empathy and equanimity, so that you're not moving from one strong emotion to another, but finding a balance and a tenderness, which we can turn inwards to ourselves and offer out to others. Think of the triple warmer as the embrace of warmth to the self and to others. So we have this sense of the vitality, which is the filtering and the sorting out of what helps us to be our most vital, expressive selves, in which our passion and creativity gives rise to the joy in the heart. The heart protector, protects our sense of self within that joy. By not ignoring or bypassing emotions that are dark or shadows, but recognizing them, identifying them, enabling us to work with those with kindness, empathy. So when we're working on these upper body meridians and the element of fire, there's the ignition, the discernment, and the resolution or reparation that comes from these. The heart is said to be the home of the spirit. Check in with how you're feeling here in your angel wing pose. This pec and shoulder opener. Check how your extended arm is feeling. What about your hip, the knees? Ease away or ease towards your edge. Ease here, not dis-ease or unease. These heart openers are not easy, they are hard work. We'll be working with the element of fire in our next class so that we can explore this more deeply. Notice how you're feeling here. Make any adjustments you need. Although we resolve to stay still, we do not stay still if we are in discomfort or pain. Not here to suffer in our practice. This idea of suffering, of testing our boundaries and going beyond our boundaries is a very Western idea of the body, of a competition with the body rather than a harmony or balance with the body. Check that my sound is working. Let's rise here by bending into your knees. And then roll over onto your abdomen, moving slowly, particularly mindful of that right arm. And reach your arms overhead to create a vessel here. Bring your hands alongside your shoulders. Let's come onto our knees. Move back into child's pose. Really want to give us the opportunity to release the arms. So perhaps you take the arms alongside your body, palms face up. Perhaps you cross them underneath you. So you've got to cross your heart here. Explore what your arms need. We are all different and unique expressions of creative energy. Our very bones, tendons, ligaments, tissues are unique to us. So we're not going to look the same, move the same, or have the same experience. Having agency in your practice, using the element of fire to give you confidence to tune into and see what is happening with your body, with your inner self and the outer self. This is the solstice, the still point of the sun. It's cusp and midnight. the year's threshold and unlocking, where the past lets go of and becomes the future, the place of caught breath, the stillness of body, of breath, of mind, this stillness in the year, allowing us to surrender with an open and vulnerable heart. So whether you have your arms alongside your body, your legs, or you have crossed your heart arms, let's lift our head. And we're going to come into a supine pose here, a heart opener. If you have a large pillow or your bolster available, let's take that behind us and create an angle with your bolster or your pillow that feels comfortable to you. So I have my bolster here. And if you don't have bricks and you're working with a pillow, use some folded blankets and cushions stacked up, and then you can place your pillow on top of those as your bolster. Now, the lower the bolster is to the earth, the more intense this will feel for your lower back, particularly it will cause compression. We're going to do Supta Baddha Konasana, supine butterfly. And the higher it is, the more space you have. So create the angle of your pillow with cushions, with bolsters or bricks. Remember, everything we have in our home will serve us in our practice. We don't need any special props. Bring the lower back towards the lower end of your bolster or pillow. Options here for legs, soles of the feet together, or you can have your knees bent and feet on the earth with supported hands. Let's lower onto our bolster. And then decide what you're doing with your legs here. You can have your feet as wide as the mat, knees knotted together, which is constructive rest variation. The soles of the feet together with legs open. You can choose to place cushions underneath the knees so that you're supported here. See how your neck feels here. It might be beneficial to you to place a folded blanket or a small cushion here at the top. Arms alongside your body, palms open. Check that you are comfortable here. This is where I'm going to leave you in your practice today. So, thinking about how can you find comfort in this pose, set yourself up now. And I invite you to stay here for 5 minutes. And then when you are ready to rise on your own time, roll onto your left side and then roll gently off. And lie on your left side with your knees bent in sleeping Krishna, perhaps covering yourself with a blanket for a few more moments. Having your feet in Baddha Konasana with the soles of the feet together can begin to create some strong sensations in the inner hip flexors, in which case you will be then invited to bring the knees in together and feet wide. So thinking about how you can develop your home practice. Always remembering that when you're ready to close your practice, you move slowly, carefully, and have this moment looking in. Closing your practice with Om Shanti when you're ready, my friends. We have our time here and then you have limitless time at home. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti to you, my friends. And rise when you're ready in your own time.